Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this mini-series on the women of the Quran. We'll be looking in these next 4 weeks on the women figures who are explicitly mentioned in Quranic stories. I think many people are familiar with the Quranic stories. Maybe they know certain names. Maybe people have memorized the whole Quran. But what I really want to focus on in these next 4 weeks is diving deep into particular stories that I think have some benefits for how we understand ourselves as women in the society, how we understand ourselves as Muslims. I think, for instance, if you look at a figure like Hawa, Eve, for instance, who's not mentioned in the Quran by name except in her affiliation to Adam, but we know her name from the prophetic narrations, the hadith. And so if you look at a figure like Hawa, you see that our Quran takes a woman who, in the historical context of the time, was deeply shamed for blamed and accused of something that she did not herself alone do. And also, I think that the stories that were circulating at the time that the Quran came down didn't actually do Hawa, Eve, justice in the fact that she actually repented with Adam right away, immediately. And so for me, as someone who is a little bit of a perfectionist, when I remember her, I think about how Allah is there to forgive us, no matter how big our mistakes are, that we can always turn again to Allah. And in fact, this very story, this is the way Allah starts our sacred history. Our history is the story of people making mistakes and returning to Allah. So one thing I think we can focus on in this week in particular, if we think about Hawa and her legacy, think of times in your life where maybe you were blamed or you were shamed. Perhaps there's people who you still hold in your heart some type of grudge against for what they did or what they thought. Maybe in this moment it's a good time to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and really clear that with yourself. And if there's any repentance, any tawbah that you need to do, first between Allah and then also between that person, if you can. And this is a very core, one of the central practices of our deen. And it's a gift that we get from not only Hawa, but also Hawa and Adam, of course. Now, if we move through sacred history, we think about the next woman in the Quran that's mentioned, we run across, can you think of it? The wife of Nuh. Now, with the wife of Nuh, here we have a woman who is married to a prophet, and she betrays him, as the Quran says, and the Quran uses that word betrayal. So right away we move from a figure who Hawa, who made a mistake and repented right away, to someone who's married to a prophet and betrays the prophet and is damned to hell. Allah save us from that consequence. I think there's some wisdom in immediately having this as the next moment in sacred history where a woman enters the scene in the Quranic narratives. And we don't know very much about her or what she did or what were the circumstances. The Quran doesn't narrate that. And so we're left to focus on one thing, and that's betrayal. And we know that whatever the context, to betray another person's trust, to betray their confidence in you, it's a very serious matter. Treachery, not only in Islamic civilizations, but across the world, wherever you go, treachery is such a serious offense. So perhaps this week too, we can think about the ways in which maybe we've been treacherous, maybe we backbit, which is a major sin in our deen. Or maybe we just didn't live up to serving the righteous people in our lives, whether it's our spouses, whether it's the rights that our children have over us. So let's really think in these first two women, and think about the opportunities that they give us to look at our own lives. Men, women, look at our various roles in life and in relation to our family members, in relation to our coworkers and our friends. Really think this week, where can I improve? Where can I turn immediately to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the mistakes I've made? And how can I absolutely, positively close the door on any type of treachery that would be seen as horrible in the sight of Allah? We ask Allah's refuge and strength in all of our affairs, and we ask us to guide our hearts, make us humble people, make our hearts soft, and may we benefit from what we learn, and may we always be in the world in a way that shows our light in the way that we carry this religion. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen.